Hi, I'm about to cut some shapes out of rock tonight, and I thought I'd show you how I do it. Here's a few magnets I've made in the past. These little bears, I don't know what these are, what kind of rock this is. These are all rocks that I've found in Michigan. This one is Untitled. This maple leaf is conodolomite. I've got some lower peninsula of Michigans cut out of Petoskey stone, but they're actually really bad Petoskey stones. They don't have much pattern on them. Sometimes I dome the shape. I don't know if you can see that, but that's domed on the front, and other times I just leave it flat. So tonight I'm just going to do the flat ones. The dome ones I do on a flat lap, but I'm not going to show that tonight. I'm just going to show how to cut out the basic shape. Here is another piece of conodolomite. This is a little pendant I made. So you cut that the same way. That one's domed on the front and the back, which again I'm not going to show you tonight, but cutting out the shape is done the way I'll demonstrate. So let's get started. So I'm going to make a deer. I have a deer I printed out on a piece of this little bit thicker paper cardstock, and then I cut that out with an X-Acto knife. If you're going to be doing something often, like my Michigan, or I do a lot of crosses, these are made on a Cricut. It's a machine that scrapbookers use to cut things out kind of automatically. So this is kind of like a transparency thing. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit easier to trace. It's nice when you're putting it on here, you can see exactly where you're at on the rock. Where this, you can't really see if you're centered or not. So the trick with this, you hold it up to a light and you can see through, and that works pretty well. So that's where I want it. So when I first made a deer, I really thought the antlers might just break when I tumble it, because that's the last step of this, is to throw it in a vibratory tumbler. I have a Lotto tumbler, and I thought those antlers would just break right off, but I made a couple now and they haven't. There we go. So that's ready to go, and I think I'll make a cross too. So got this rock, I'm going to put the cross on. Right, so that'll do it. Now I'm going to cut them out. So this is the saw I'm going to be using. It's a Lapidary Trim Saw. It's made by a company called Gemlap from, I think it's Ferndale, Michigan. I don't know when this company went out of business, but they don't make these saws anymore. I really like this saw though. What I like about it is the blade meets the table at a 90-degree angle. So before this saw, I used to use this saw, which is a Frantom saw. I think they're made in California. Oh yeah, right there, Gardenia, California. So for this, if you look, the blade does not meet the table at a 90-degree angle. So when you do something like make a cross, if you cut to the inside corners on the top of the cross, and then where they meet on the top, it's going to cut deeper on the bottom, so you get this bad cut on the bottom. So to fix that, I made this little ramp, and so now where the ramp hits the saw blade, it's a 90-degree angle again. So I would just put a clamp on here on the bottom. I don't have the clamp right here right now because I'm not planning on using this saw today, but that's how I got that. So if you don't have the right kind of saw, you can always make it work this way. So we'll be using this saw, and let me get the camera on a tripod and we'll get started. All right, you might notice this is not the same rock that we used before. This is actually my fourth attempt at this. The other three deer turned out nicely, but the recordings didn't. So the first recording was blurry. I had it zoomed in. It must have been zoomed too close or something, and it turned out blurry. The second recording, I had the tripod on the counter with the saw, and the vibrations from the saw jiggled the camera and it was blurry again. So the third time, I rigged up a new system to hold my camera, which I'll show you now. It's fully adjustable. I just have to move the saw wherever I want it. Actually, I can adjust it a little bit, but it's kind of, it took me about an hour to put it together. It's working okay. But the third video, there was a glare from the light, so you couldn't see the deer the whole time I was cutting it. So here we are with deer number 4. Hopefully this one turns out better. I should also mention that I do wear safety equipment while I'm doing this. I've got on safety glasses, I'm wearing earplugs, and I have a respirator on. Breathing rock dust is really, really bad for your lungs, so I try to protect myself the best I can. You may be worried about my fingers as I'm getting pretty close to the saw blade. This is a diamond blade, and it's really smooth to the touch. There's no teeth on it like on a wood saw. This blade actually grinds through the rock. So the way I get everything smooth is I use the edge of the blade as kind of a grinder. So I pull it backwards across there, and it makes it pretty smooth. This blade's getting pretty worn. There's not much diamond left on the edge anymore. There's also a wobble in this blade, which is kind of annoying, but as soon as it touches the rock, it settles down pretty well, and I can control it all right. So don't worry about my fingers. I can run my finger right along there when it's running, and it won't be any problem. All right, there it is. And here's all the other ones. This is the original one. And then a couple of red ones. And I cut out a couple crosses too. I'm not going to cut out another cross right now, but I will tell you a secret to doing crosses. When you're cutting the cross, always cut across the ends first. Cut here and down here, and then cut in the corners. If you cut the corners first, let's say this corner's cut out right here, and then you cut across the end, it's much more likely to chip. There's nothing to support it at the back end, so as the blade comes along here, you're much more likely to chip that corner off. So cut the ends first, then cut the inside corners in after that. So the next step in the process is to put them in the lotto tumbler and tumble them, which takes about a week. Probably make another video to show that process. So if you want to see that, consider subscribing so you catch my next video. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.